Welcome to Life Coach Live. I'm here with Paul, and we're here to welcome you, I guess, Paul, to 2024. This is the first time that we've done a Life Coach Live in the new year. So uh, may you be the first person on Life Coach Live. I wish a Happy New Year to. Happy New Year, Paul.
Oh, thank you, Tyler. Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to be back. I guess maybe that's what we're going to talk about today, but a bit of reflection on where we've come over the last few months with these live broadcasts that we've been putting out. But yes, fantastic to be back, and I'm super excited about whatever this year has in store for us all. Yeah, really, really happy to be back and excited to be here chatting with you, Tyler. How's
Yeah,
things been? How was your break? Did you take some time out to recharge the batteries? And
Yeah, it was in terms of the I mean it was great with family and having quality time with them and celebrating the holidays and so forth. That was terrific. But just refreshing and renewing myself and gaining kind of a different perspective, standing back a little bit from Life Coach Live and kind of, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, kind of reflecting upon the what's actually transpired over the past 4 or 5 months, and I feel like um, you know I'm excited about where we've been, where we came from, and the direction that we're going, and some of the obstacles, which I think we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about some of the obstacles that one may have in going live or doing some sort of online video recordings of themselves. And we've overcome some of our issues. And I think it would be great for us today, maybe just to start out, for you, Paul, what are some of the issues that you had to overcome in having the goal of going live or recording a video of yourself and posting it publicly online in social media for anyone to see? What are some of the things that was preventing you from taking that step forward?
yeah, great question. It's been a journey. I've been self-employed 5 years now, or 6 years now, actually, 5.5, 6 years, and from the very, very start of that, my goal and intention was to be visible online, and it took such a long time to get to that place, and it was all about the preparation that I needed to do to enable myself, or to give myself permission, I guess, to show up as myself online. And I'd done little videos here and there, I guess. I did get my head around pre-recorded videos first.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff that I went through, but in terms of going live regularly, it was only when we really started last year, like the second half of last year.
Yeah.
I don't know when that was. When we started, I
I think
can't remember. When we went
September.
live, maybe September. So obviously, since then, we've had a commitment between ourselves to show up twice a week
Yeah.
where possible, and and hit that record button and go live. And it's been such a fantastic experience, because if I even reflect back to that first time back in September where we went live out to the world, and there was still a lingering fear behind
Right.
that anticipation, ready to sort of step into the limelight, I guess, and to have, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I get lost for words? Whatever, this chatter that sort of goes on in our mind. It was scary hitting that
that
record button.
voice that voice that wants to keep us
Yeah,
safe and
yeah,
avoid embarrassment.
absolutely. And this is 4.5 years into my self-employed journey.
Yeah.
But what's come out of this experience for me, turning up a couple of times a week, making that commitment. I don't know how many, we've probably got 20 videos there, whatever it is. I compare that to the feeling that I had before we came on today. You know,
Right.
before we came on today, like, we had a chat for 1 minute beforehand. What are we going to talk about? Yep, let's do this.
Yeah.
No preparation, no nothing, and we
Yeah.
hit the record button, and here we are. And the feeling I had before this was nothing more than excitement.
Right.
I love catching up with you, Tyler, now, and here
Yeah.
we are. And I'm thinking about the next challenges that we
Yeah.
can sort of set ourselves. We've
Yeah.
had a bit of a chat about what that might look like.
Yeah.
But in terms of going live, it is, here we are.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hide. I feel like I can be my authentic self.
Right.
And, you know, I'm interested to see where this chat goes today.
Yeah.
How about for yourself? If I was to ask you that same question, Tyler,
Oh
how has it
gosh.
been through your journey?
Well, it's interesting because for me, it all starts with a kind of an inspiration or an aspiration or a vision. And, it's really easy. I found myself for many years kind of in my own little comfort zone. We use that term quite a bit. And so what that looks like for me is I've got a home office. I'm located in a little coastal town that's only accessible by ferry boats. And basically, I'm a solopreneur. I work on my own. And so I'm very insulated and very safe, and yet I've got this aspiration, this vision, this, well, you can call it a dream, you can call it a purpose, and what I eventually had to accept was, if I'm going to commit to this vision and work towards, creating it in my life, fulfilling it, then I'm going to need to step out of that safety net that that I've built around myself, and I'm going to need to put myself out there, and there's so much what I came through the process of doing that. What happens is I've gotten to see the things that were always stopping me, that I wasn't aware of, that were stopping me. I had to literally face my own fears, my own insecurities, my own resistance, and I had to take another step to go through it in order to get to the other side of it. And the truth of the matter is what I've come to see for myself in the process is that it doesn't matter what your vision is, what your passion or inspiration is, what your purpose is. In truth, the only thing, this is what I've discovered for myself, and I think it's universal, and you can tell me, Paul, if you've gleaned this same insight, because what I'm talking about, it's not obvious, it's subtle, okay? And the only thing really stopping me from fulfilling my vision is my own fear. It's my own insecurity. It's my own resistance. And, if I'm not committed to that vision, then I find it's very difficult to walk through, to expand, step out of the comfort zone. Because I need to be reminded of why I'm going through this discomfort, what's on the other side of this discomfort. And so, and that takes all kinds of forms. So I'm talking about what the inner obstacles are. But when I actually look at the journey, like, well, what are some of the practical things I had to do to step out of my comfort zone? Well, first of all, I had to find a community that was in alignment with my vision, that could provide me the space for me to get my walking legs, if you will, to give me that opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and to have a supportive other peers that are trying to accomplish the same thing, that have the same challenges as well, and the same goals, similar vision. So that was a big thing, because not only did I have to commit my time, like the first thing, and this is where I met you, Paul, I had to commit to a whole year of self-development and personal growth and showing up. And what the other thing is I had to commit financially to it. I literally had to pay in order to do the work.
Yep.
And the, whatever our hangups are around money, what I've come to see is actually one of the main things about investing in yourself is that's exactly what you're doing. It's not that I'm investing in, paying another company and
Yep.
investing in their company. I'm actually, on one hand, I'm doing that, but I'm actually investing in myself. I'm actually committing to myself. And I think
Mm.
that the benefit of actually putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak,
Mm.
is that it is an extra motivator because I don't see myself as someone who wants to waste my money or throw it away. So if I'm going to
Yep.
spend money on something, I'm going to damn sure make sure I get as much value out of that as I possibly
Definitely.
can. To me, that
Yep.
makes sense. That's smart. So and obviously, depending on your financial situation, and so you want to stretch yourself a little bit. You don't want it to be, you don't want to overinvest where you're feeling like the risk is too great and you're holding yourself back. You want to find that right balance. So, and I've only just touched on some of the big picture stuff,
Yep.
but there's just practical stuff like just taking this phone and putting it on a tripod. I mean, one of the big commitments before I even signed up for the 1 year program
Yeah.
was painting this wall. It
Yeah.
was
Okay.
it took me months just to paint this wall. It's the only blue wall in my office here. But
Yep.
just for
Looks good,
because
by the way, Tyler. I love you. I love you all there. Love the light behind you. You've got your setup's looking great.
I appreciate that. But this wall represents my vision.
Yes.
This is me
Yeah.
committing to it. It's almost like, and this is weird. I've never thought of it this way. It's almost like my vision board.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So I'm
I
gonna
love
I'm gonna pass the baton over to you, Paul, because I've been on a roll, and I'm you can see that not doing a life coach live for me over the past 3 or 4 weeks, all of this enthusiasm has been pent up, and it's finally good that I can express this and share this with you and whoever is listening today.
I love it. It feels like there's I feel the same way. It feels like there's so much we want to say, which is the complete opposite of what we were talking about earlier. That challenge of what am I going to say, and now
Mm,
it's like we can't stop each other from talking about this stuff. And
right.
I think you've hit those points. You've hit the nail on the head with each and every one of them. It's I can resonate with everything you said there. Everything from the comfort that we hold on to, you know, living in our own space.
Mm,
You know, we kind of know what we need to be doing and what that next
right.
step out of our comfort zone is, but it's so easy to get distracted. Procrastination and working on things that aren't taking you a step closer to your goal.
Yeah.
We know what we want to be doing. We know what our vision is. We know what we need to be doing. I kind of did. I fell into a little bit of trap of finding a system to bring clients into my business that
Mm,
didn't really require me to put myself out there. But
right.
that's one trap I fell into. I was, and I still heavily rely on that process.
Right.
Where I'm starting conversations in different ways. My coaching has been a success, but this putting myself out there, allowing myself to, or allowing my authentic self to be broadcast out to the world. And, even deeper than that, you know, giving myself permission to understand that I'm enough just as I am
Mm, mhm.
to be able to put this message out there. And I think that's the biggest challenge. And you're right. It's something that I still could be, distracting myself with anything and everything, thinking I'll get to it one day. But exactly the same way you described it, making
Yeah.
that commitment to join the course that we signed up to, where
Yeah.
we met,
Yeah.
and knowing, with that benefit of hindsight, looking at what we've been able to create out the back of that, and with the clarity now, knowing with certainty that it is, that supportive environment that create
Hmm.
that allowed us to be able to grow and shine and get to a place where we now feel comfortable.
Mm.
just turning up and hitting record. It's an
Mm.
amazing
Mm.
process to have come through. And
Mm.
what's next? Who knows? But this is now about, for me, it's about, how can we start giving some of this back to others? That's definitely one thing that's on my mind this year. And I guess
Right.
that's in part has been our goal at some level with
Yep.
the content we've been creating so far.
Yes.
It's how can we just continue to develop a place or an environment that
Hmm.
helps each other, helps us. It's also partially about us continuing our growth.
Mm.
How can we share that with everybody else? And I think
Hmm.
that's a powerful thing to be able to give back on, potentially.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of want to jump forward to where the conversation is going, but I just before we do, I kind of wanted to address this. Use the word distraction, and we've
Mm.
touched on this before. That it's a protection mechanism.
Absolutely, it is. Yep.
It distracts us from doing the thing that we're scared to do. So we
Mm.
find these other safe things to occupy us, and for us to think, well, this is important, this is necessary, this is what I need to be doing. When really, if we're to be perfectly honest with ourselves, and it's really hard to be perfectly honest with yourself, and I think that
Mm.
that's part of the benefit of being in a group is that we're supporting each other in being honest with ourselves. We're holding up a mirror for each other so we can see ourselves clearly.
Mm.
And yeah, but in terms of the what is it that we're trying to offer, I for so some of the things that we've discussed prior to this Life Coach Live, Paul, is really the topic of an importance, and the essential necessity of getting to a place where we can be ourselves, which use
Mm.
that word authentic. And honestly,
Yep.
Paul, that to me has been the connector with you and I, because me knowing that that is what you value has really given me permission to be myself, and to also, because and again, we've touched on this in the past, that what if the secret to success, the secret that we've all been searching for, what if it was in being true to yourself, being authentic,
Mm.
being honest with yourself, and
Yep.
because it forces you to break through whatever fears and resistance or judgments you have about yourself. Oh, I can't be that way because, okay, that's your own conditioning and your own hangups. And that very thing is getting in the way of you taking a step closer to the fulfillment of your vision. So
Mm.
I just think that from and I threw this question out to a good friend of mine who's actually I admire. He's financial. He's done very well in real estate, in financial investments. He's done very well from a business standpoint. He's done very well in his business of having his business operate with or without him. It can function
Mm.
and generate revenues and profits without him. So, for example, he just returned from a 2 month sabbatical. He went to places like Thailand and Bali and all of that kind of stuff to do
Mm.
that deeper inner work and introspection, and that you and I value and we talk about, and which is something that inner work is something that it became very clear to us when we did the year-long program. What the inner work addresses these
Mm.
fears and insecurities and self-judgment and or
Yep.
one of the terms is imposter syndrome, and
Yep.
all of this is internal stuff.
It's
And
all internal stuff.
yeah,
Yep.
and he went on this, and he really gave himself towards doing the inner work. And he said it was tough. It was
Mm.
really, really hard. And in fact, I connected with him, I think 2 weekends ago, when we were in Vancouver at my son's hockey tournament. And he said, Tyler, I couldn't hide behind my roles, right? We talked about our authentic self and our identity. And one of those questions, who am I? And we're not
Yep.
talking about what the roles are, because those roles are more of an ego identity than your actual authentic or your true identity. And he said when he went on that trip to do the inner work, he had to come clean with himself. He had to be real. And he ended up facing a lot of deep, buried, difficult emotions that were very uncomfortable to actually have to face. And I've always said that the way we move past that unconscious stuff that we're afraid to look at is by becoming conscious of it.
Yep.
And I think the fear around that I've observed in myself and other people, that we have a fear around becoming unconscious of that thing that we're unconsciously afraid of, because we think if I become conscious of it, then it's really going to bind me and control me. And what I'm saying is
Mm.
it's already binding and controlling you without you even being conscious of it.
Mm.
When you become conscious of it, actually, that's when you begin to free yourself from it, because
Yep.
it's not in the shadow anymore. It's in the light, and you can see it for what it is, and you can face it, and you can accept it, and you can heal it or forgive it. And in that process, you can let it go. So
Yep.
these are some of the bridge things that we understand is important. If
Mm.
you have a vision and you have goals, and you are trying to fulfill them and create them and manifest them in your life, these are some of the deeper things that you're going to have to face. That really, that's the hard part.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I couldn't agree more. You're spot on. It's this inner work. It's this foundational stuff. It's when we know what our vision is and we know what it is that we would like to move
Mm, mm,
towards, and
mm,
we can see both sides of the canyon. Say, we know
mm.
that we're in this position where we just can't bring ourselves to jump on and do a live
Right.
Facebook
Yeah,
Live.
yeah,
It's something holding us back.
yeah.
You spoke about a couple of the protective mechanisms there. Maybe it's a perfectionism thing. Maybe it's
Right.
worrying what everyone else is going to think. Whatever it is, there's something that we're putting this protective layer on ourselves that's preventing us from being able to show up and do the thing that we know we need to do.
Right.
So if that's where we are right now, where we desire to be is on the other side,
Mm,
where we are fully free and
mm,
authentic and comfortable, and we've got a self-belief and a self-worth that just
mm.
says, whatever my message is, I am comfortable turning up and delivering it to the world.
Yes.
Now, if that's where you're wanting to be,
Yeah.
the only way we're going to get there is by, turning back inwards and doing this inner work.
Yeah.
And, this course that we did, it was a year-long course, and it, the vast majority of it was the inner work.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
at some points along the journey, there were, once you're ready, these are the things you potentially need to do. But we
Yeah.
know what those things are typically. As coaches, if you've been through a coaching program, you've probably put some thought into what's required to run a successful business. We need to be doing. We need to be showing up, and we need to be consistent with the work that's required to produce the results we're looking for.
Yeah.
If we're there,
Yeah.
fantastic. If we're able to follow through on those actions, fantastic. If we're not, you know, we've that's okay as well. But we've got to recognize that it's our responsibility to shine that light on ourselves. I love what you were saying there about honesty,
Mm,
and I think you used the word acceptance as well.
mm.
we need to accept that we're enough as we
Mhm.
are right now to
Mhm.
take that next step, to
Yeah.
give ourselves, find a way to give ourselves permission. And the way that, that we've spent a bit of time talking about, um, to do this work is to keep coming back to those questions of who we are and, you know, what that vision is for us, why we're here,
Hmm.
understanding why this is also important to us, thinking through how we're going to show up, those commitments that we're going to make to ourselves,
Mm.
the discipline that sort of sits behind that in terms of showing up, like what we did over the last few months. We decided this is how we're going to show up. And, now, as I said earlier, with the benefit of hindsight, we can look back and go and see with clarity the enormous benefits that we've obtained from
Yeah.
just making that commitment to ourselves, following through on it, and coming out the other side. And now I can only talk for myself, but a completely transformed level of confidence in my ability to be able to just show up and,
Mm.
with no preparation at all, and have half an hour long conversations like this,
Yeah.
with a sense of ease now,
Yeah.
which is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, you're probably the same as me, that because we've seen our own uh, transformation in terms of pushing through our resistance and
Mm.
seeing what's on the other side and seeing what's available on the other side. I think you and I are both inspired to serve and support other people
Mm.
in pushing in doing the same thing. And the problem isn't that we don't have a vision. That's not the problem. The problem is that once we are admit to ourselves what our vision is,
Mm.
okay, that can be a problem, is that we want to ignore it. That could be a
Mm.
problem, but you do have it. uh, the problem is that uh, we're afraid to commit to doing what the necessary work in order to fulfill that vision.
Yeah.
That's the part, that's the problem.
Mm.
And the funny thing is, Paul, is that when you and I look back at the course that we took together, I don't know, like, how was that course presented to us, the opportunity to do that course? How do you recall it? Like, what was it about that course that
Mm.
appealed to you, that hooked you into thinking and feeling, gee, this is something I need to commit to, this is for
Mm.
me? Do you remember what some of the main things were about
Not
that?
really. My recollection on that is a little bit cloudy because I'm not in that same place anymore.
Okay.
I'm now 18 months down the road, feeling very different about
Right.
what is important to me, what my priorities are, and where I want to be. But what I think it was, and
Okay.
what I know that it was actually,
Yeah.
at some level at least anyway, was, as I mentioned earlier, for such a long time, I knew that being true to myself and allowing myself, or finding a way to be able to express myself
Mm.
authentically
Yeah.
in various different shapes and forms, but particularly with video, particularly with showing up like this
Right.
live, I knew that was something that was important to me as a next step
Right.
at that point in time. And the message that was being promoted to me at that time had to have been talking to that, because that's the
Mm.
thing that was on my mind. And
Mm.
it wouldn't have been about the how.
Right.
Anyone who said that they can fix, anyone who was, we're bombarded every day with different marketing messages.
Right.
There would have been something authentic about that message that I resonated with. And, that I am a huge fan of those guys, and, the
Hmm.
content. I was watching YouTube videos for quite a long time beforehand, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. And, it just felt like the next
Mm.
step that I needed to take,
Yeah. Yeah.
for my journey.
So I think one of the things for me was the way that it was presented. What it was, first, something, a program specific for coaches,
Mm.
right? And there is an aspect to coaching that is really a separate hat, which
Mm.
is the business or the entrepreneurial side.
Yes.
And I think that, for me, I was already established in my identity as a coach,
Mm.
even though I wasn't operating a business as a coach.
Mm.
My identity was as a coach. Like, this is what my vision is. This is what I'm meant to be
Yep.
doing.
Yep.
But I recognized that the problem that I was having was not in my identity as a coach, but in my commitment to being an entrepreneur
Mm.
as a coach.
Yep.
And and it's interesting, because I took out a domain name a long time ago called Entrepreneurial Spirit. I very much have been aware of being a business owner for the past 30 years. I mean, being an
Mm.
entrepreneur isn't a new concept for me,
Yep.
but for a lot of people it is. Like,
Yep.
and you've talked about that. For you, it was a new
And that was
concept in the
my
sense
that was
that,
my
yeah,
yeah, that was my challenge back then as well, because
yeah,
exactly like you just described, I was confident in my coaching. I was working as a full-time coach at that time, but it was about how can I don't like using the term get clients, but it
right,
was, I was attracting clients and having conversations and signing up clients. And, my calendar was pretty full.
yeah,
But it was more, how can I do that on my own rather than the system that I had been using? And, for me, it was a sales, it was a marketing
mm-hmm.
thing behind all that. It was get clients, marketing, these symptoms that so many coaches out there are talking about.
Right.
Um, but behind all that was, how can I show up as myself and get my message out there?
That's the key.
And that's the
Because
key.
in order to market and sell, you have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Mm.
And it's the putting yourself out there, it's being seen.
Mm.
That's the challenge. And
Yeah.
for me, what I realized, we think it's being seen by other people. But
Mm.
when I'm in the process, I'm actually, when I put myself out there, first and foremost, the first person that sees me when I put myself out there is me.
Yeah.
And the question is, do I like what I see?
Mm.
You know, and
There,
what
that
is,
there's the key to this, I think. That there, what you just said there, do I like what I see? That's the key to all of this.
and the answer is not all of it, especially at first. You know, uh, and that's really what I found now that I'm in retrospect looking at the whole thing. That's really what I didn't want to see. The reason why I didn't want to put myself out there was because I didn't want to see all that stuff that I judged and couldn't accept about myself, you know?
Yeah.
And yet, I've spent years practicing the principles of self acceptance and self worth and so forth.
Mm.
Uh, but actually, there's different layers and levels of it. And so when you start putting yourself out there in the world, that's at a more of an exterior level that you get to see yourself. And,
Mm.
but I'll tell you, just, I want to add one more thing, Paul. The benefit of me putting myself out there and getting to see myself and is that I get to learn about myself and I am empowered to change the things about myself that I see that I want to tweak, that I want to adjust, and that is the key behind that. How will I be the mission, our mission in the live coaching path? How do I want to be in the world? How do I want to show up? you know
Mm.
um, and so it's all about growth and learning, and in that process we have to make mistakes, And all of these successful people will tell you, like Babe Ruth had the most home runs, but he struck out the most. Wayne Gretzky says you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. The all-time points leader in NHL history. And so it's the emotional. It's how do we deal with the emotional feelings and thoughts that can form as an avalanche over us when we fail or when something happens that puts us in a situation that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How do we respond? How can we be? How will I be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's how quickly we can recover and come back as well, because
Right.
we've spent a lot of time talking about this. That's all we have. We have our ability to be able to pick the thing that scares us the most, commit ourselves to, I guess maybe even before committing to the action is just accepting that I don't know how this is going to go, but this is the thing that I've identified as the next step. Commit to take the action and take the action. And
It's
if
the
you're not
baby
failing, if you're
step.
not failing enough, then you're not setting
Yeah.
yourself lofty enough
Yeah.
actions to take. And
Yeah.
this is all part of this mindset that we've been able to cultivate and develop over the last 18 months or so,
Yeah.
where we want to be failing almost. We want to be making mistakes because we know that's a sign that we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's a completely different way of viewing it. And it took me a lot of time to sort of come back to that place where, just being able to identify even things that used to scare us that we've now become comfortable with. We can often think the goal is to become comfortable with this, but the goal's really to continue to push yourself and to continue to grow. And I think the more we can ask that question, what am I going to fail at today, or what scares me the most that I know I need to do that's going to take me a step closer to my goal? What's that one thing that I know I need to take action on today? And the more we can take those actions, trust ourselves to take those actions, accept whatever's going to come from those actions, get curious afterwards about whatever the results are, and take the lessons into the next iteration of it, the quicker we're going to be able to move towards what's truly most important to us, that vision that we're trying to manifest, that vision that we're trying to create.
Yeah.
All of what success means to us is on the other side of difficult action.
Paul, let me just ask you one more question. I think we've done great. We're already almost 40 minutes into the conversation. We could probably go another 40 minutes, no problem. But let me ask you a question. In terms of if you have a vision or you have aspirations, whether you consider yourself a coach or a creator or an author or an entrepreneur or it's business owner, it doesn't matter what the kind of identity is. The common characteristic is that we have a vision, we have an aspiration, we're inspired to reach towards that North Star, that fulfill a purpose, a higher purpose in our life. Would you say in today's day and age, okay, with where we are with social media and technology, AI, all of the things we talked about, the essential ingredient being what if the key to success was being totally authentic? Would you say that in today's day and age, one of the necessary skills and abilities required to fulfill that vision would be through video online?
I would say that is one way of expressing that. A bit more broadly than that, I would say that it's a creative endeavor that we're trying to create. That we're trying to bring something into fruition that has not been created yet, right?
Right.
We've got this vision, whatever that looks like. Successful coaching business, ideal life. We can our best version of ourselves. This fully authentic, self-loving, self-believing person that can do anything that they put their mind to.
Right.
We've got this vision of whatever it is that we're wanting to work towards.
Yes.
What I have become more aware of is that it is a creative process. We need to think outside the box. We need to decide what we're going to commit ourselves to, and whatever that is, whatever those steps are, we need to be
Right.
able to create our version of what that looks like. Um, Back to your question about video. For me, I know we're on the same page on this.
Right.
Video for me is a fantastic way to put those reps in,
Yeah.
to challenge yourself. I know that, video will continue to be a way that I can challenge myself towards becoming that authentic version of myself, because, there's elements of, creating some sort of idea that you want to create with your video. If you're just going to trust yourself going live, there's still elements of, just needing to be that best version of yourself showing up and trusting in the words that are going to form and come out of your mouth, and, everything that you need to create from that. But, I think video, or some way of expressing yourself. And I know that there's, it could be writing, it could be podcast, it could be video. I think video includes elements of all the other, creative marketing, ways of putting yourself out there. So I think video is actually a perfect place to start. Even if you land somewhere else, you might land being a podcaster or a blogger or
Author,
whatever it is. Yeah. But I think video is a great place to start honing those skills of just simply creating videos for yourself, and watching them back is a
Yeah.
hugely powerful way to just see
Just
what
a place to
you
start.
look like to others. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You don't have to publish it or promote it, just to get in front of the camera and
just turning that camera on and recording yourself.
Yeah.
And I can remember the first time I just recorded a voice recording of my voice. I was wanting to improve. I might have been wanting to improve outreach calls or whatever. So I started recording a couple of them, and I was like, "Wow, is that what I sound like?"
Yeah.
And I was surprised by the number of fill words. It's just it brings the reality of who you are, into your awareness at a greater level. And it, back to your point, it gives you that opportunity to be able to, what you're aware of, you've got the option or the possibility to improve on, or to do something with. And, I think all of this is, all of this inner work that we've been talking about, all of this is really the preparation that we're taking to enable us to take the actions that are required. Now, that's really all it is. But it's taking those actions is just such a daunting task, or it's just such a difficult thing for us to work towards without doing some of this preparation work first, I think, which is where I've found the power in doing this retrospective inner work, from the inside out. It really is about helping you solidify what's most important right now, what I'm going to commit myself to do, and to get that mindset and confidence to just turn the camera on or whatever it is and just do the thing. Ultimately, that's what we want to be doing. We want to be doing the thing and moving close to our goals, and just one step at a time. But it is getting this balance right, and getting this way of being, I think, is a good way to describe it.
Yeah. And now again, you're touching on identity. Being, you used more important than the medium of creation or communication, but being a creator, right?
Yep.
And now you're touching on the live coaching path, the identity part, the source, the creator, the being, the cause, the creation being the effect or the outcome. And so my question really was pertaining to, from a creative standpoint, video is just a medium for creation. It's a medium for communication. And that really, as it pertains to business, is marketing. Marketing is communication. And, and so what we're talking about really is, I think you and I have identified as a creator in business, as a coach, embracing the entrepreneur identity based on all of the technology and social media and all of everything that's going, is that video gives you the optimum, it's the optimum medium of communication. It
Yep.
gives you leverage because you can now have a video communication, and it can be seen by anyone around the world at any time.
Mm.
And so to really invest in your message, to invest in your identity, to invest in your ability to create, to invest in your ability to communicate, which are all of the things necessary for marketing. Marketing is the cause, sales is the effect, right? So I guess what we're talking about here, Paul, is the that we have identified video, whether it's going live or pre-recorded, or it doesn't matter, but we've identified video as kind of the optimum medium for
Mm.
communication, for leverage, particularly today. 20 years ago, maybe no,
Mm.
because who's going to see your video? You got to sell your video, and then people got to put in their VCR in order to see it.
Yep.
Now we've got a bunch of different social media platforms that are tied in with algorithms that are feeding your video message. So
Yep.
so I think that's what I think the underlying point to today's conversation, Paul, in Life Coach Live, is that we've really identified video as something that we probably all, at some level, all know that it's in our own best interest to embrace the creative process in producing content through video, because it is probably what empowers the communication the best in alignment with your vision towards those that you are committed towards serving, towards reaching those people that that your purpose is to serve that group and audience. So
Yep. I think we've touched on quite a few different
mm,
reasons why we think
mm,
going live, creating video content
mm,
is such a powerful thing for coaches. And, you're spot on. It's an external thing, I guess, but the algorithms, YouTube, these platforms are, hopefully, with a bit of luck, are going to start driving people to your content at a higher rate than some of the other platforms or the mediums available for
right.
us to use. And I just keep coming back to the value that we personally
Mm,
have got from creating
yes.
video content.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be the same if I was, creating a blog or,
Right.
doing some of the other things that we could be doing. I
Yeah.
think it's
I
the
agree.
complete package for us
Yeah.
to improve ourselves as coaches, to develop our sense of authenticity, to become comfortable projecting and putting ourselves out to the world. This is probably the thing that sparks people's fear the most. In some ways, I know it did mine for a very long time.
Yeah.
There was a period where even just jumping onto a Zoom call was daunting.
I didn't realize how much fear and resistance I had to it. I
Yeah,
had no idea. It wasn't until it was time to actually push the button and go live that I was like, I'm not ready for this. What
yeah,
am I
yeah,
going to say? I can't do this.
yeah.
And so there's a lot of safety nets, safety environments that we need
Mm,
to create in order to take those little baby steps, because it before you get to that full stride sprinting running, we need to start just with the basic stuff. So
yeah.
and because you and I have been through the process, and
Mm,
your process is similar to mine, but it's unique to you. So you have
mm,
all of that experience and lessons that you can support people in and share. And likewise with me. So, that's kind of, I think, where you and I are both excited because we know the benefits. And my sense, Paul, is that at some level, anybody that kind of is similar to us in terms of vision and goals in their life,
Mm.
mission, values, that sort of thing, I think
Yep.
it is safe to assume that at some level we all know that
Mm.
video is the way to go, just to put it
Yeah.
bluntly.
Yeah. I would actually love to put it out to anyone that might be listening. Whether
Mm,
you are
right.
struggling with video, whether you have identified video as something that is valuable, and you've been able
Mm,
to come out the other side of that and are now comfortable with that and reaping the
mm,
reward from that.
yeah.
Um, I would just love to start conversations and get people's ideas and opinions about, you know, what their thoughts are towards approaching video and jumping online and doing live calls and the value that it potentially can provide. So, if there is anyone out there that's got this far into the video listening, yeah, let's leave a comment. Let us know. I'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think this seems like a natural conclusion to our conversation, Paul. Thank you so much. It's been great reconnecting with you and our platform here on Life Coach Live and our audience. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Oh, absolutely, and I can't wait to see what 24 has in store for us, Tyler. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Okay, until then, Paul, bye for now.
Bye for now.